greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. Hey, I'm Rick Verbonis, and I am your host. And this is episode 219. And I've got a co host out there. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone? And I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa.
Oh yeah, I that is Rockwell,
It is
if I'm not
Rockwell.
mistaken. And I love that song. I remember that when that song came out, and he's got
1984, I want to say.
yeah, because every time I hear it, I'm like, is he one of the Jacksons? Because
No, but Michael Jackson did the refrain.
oh, did he?
Yeah, the
I've
part where it
always
goes,
wondered that.
yeah, Michael Jackson did the I always feel like
Yeah,
somebody's watching. And then he
like I,
does the and I have no privacy. That's him.
right, right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
I didn't know that that was actually Michael Jackson. I
Yeah.
thought like the it was just sort of a knockoff of somebody who like he was trying to sound like Michael Jackson, but I didn't realize that Michael was actually in that song. But great song, Rick.
Yeah, yeah. One hit wonder, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was
Like,
definitely a one-hit wonder.
yeah. Uh yeah, I always confuse that song with the I ain't afraid of no ghosts, right? Like it was around the same time.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? And it
Yeah,
was like, talking about this guy's paranoid. People were watching him, and then he has a video. Then here's one over here about
yeah,
ghosts, and Ray Parker, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
this guy, Rockwell. I never heard of either of them before. I think they're
yeah.
pretty much both one hit wonders, and talking
Right.
about the supernatural.
Yeah, but I
Uh,
remember the Rockwell music video. So I do remember that back on the day, MTV in the early days of VH1.
hmm
So
Bob, why am I greeting you with somebody watching me?
well, I think it's because we have everybody's favorite watcher, Watto, in tonight's story.
It is true. It
Yeah.
is true. We are covering the Marvel Team Up 127, which is a team up of Spider-Man and the Watcher.
Uh, did I did I come onto the wrong podcast today?
I know, right? So
In the
some
wrong
people may
room.
be going like, "What's going on here, Rick and Bob?" Yeah. So Cap does make an appearance in this story. We wouldn't have a Cap comic, or we wouldn't have a comic we're covering that doesn't have Cap in it. Not a huge, but he does have an important role in this story. But more importantly, this story takes place on Christmas Eve, and I wanted to tie something in with the holidays going on right now.
That makes sense. I mean, the holidays are just around the corner, Rick, and we can all use a little holiday cheer. So hopefully, this story will add a little cheer to our hearts. And as you said, it does feature Captain America in an influential part. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And speaking of a little bit of holiday cheer, we all, maybe you're looking around this time of year of what kind of impact can we make in other people's lives? And of course, there's our family and friends and maybe coworkers, that we may be giving gifts to. But what about the strangers in need? Right. So there is a contest we have going on right now that is supporting the American Heart Association. And so this was inspired for a couple of reasons. Last week, John Cassidy would have celebrated his birthday on December 14th. And John Cassidy, a beloved, longtime comic book artist, passed away way too soon due to heart failure. And so we thought we would do something in his memory and celebrate. And what we're doing here as a giveaway, Bob, is we have this Fallen Sun comic, which was illustrated by John Cassidy. So this is not only illustrated on the cover, but also interior, and then written by Jeff Loeb, and a patron of the show, Seth Offenberger. He very generously donated this to us so that we could give it away to one lucky listener. And if you can see here, Bob, there's a ton of autographs on here. I'm just going to rattle them off. So signed by Jeff Loeb, Lanil Francis Yu, Steve Epting, Dan Jurgens, Brett Breeding, Tom Brevoort, Bob McLeod, Bob Hall, Michael Cho, Gary Land, Al Milgram, Ron Garney, Howard Chaykin, Mark Buckingham, Walt Simonson, Louise Simonson, John Beatty, and Gene Ha. And even Gene Ha did a nice little remark here of Cap. So it's an amazing comic to get. And how do you get it? Well, in our show notes, on the Facebook page, in our website, we do have a link to a GoFundMe that is going to directly benefit the American Heart Association. And if you make a donation to that, you're entered into the contest. Another way that you can be entered into the contest is go onto our YouTube channel. Also, the link is in the show notes. And just make sure you subscribe, and also share any video you want onto your own social media platform, and then just send a screenshot, and you'll be entered into the contest. You can send the screenshot to capcomicfans@gmail.com, or if you're on Facebook, you can hit me up on Messenger, and that will also get you entered into the contest. So you can make a donation, and you can also do something that will cost you nothing and be entered in.
Wow, that's an amazing premium prize right there. And I'm blown away by Seth's generosity. That's such a great premium prize, and some lucky person is going to get that, and know that they've contributed to a great cause as well, either by contributing to the Heart Association or by sharing our podcast website. So
yeah, hey, getting the word out there about us, that just shares some joy out there in the
it
universe,
does.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and if you're listening and you've been listening, you get obviously some sort of joy from hearing us two knuckleheads rattle off about Captain America. Why not spread that joy with your friends and family?
Absolutely.
All right, Bob. Speaking of which, we have
Yeah.
been doing this 4 years, my friend. 4
Wow.
years.
4 years.
And we will
4
be
short years.
celebrating that anniversary next episode. And
Yeah.
I always look forward to these anniversary episodes because a few things. One, you and I get to exchange presents,
Mm-hmm.
and that's always fun opening it up on the air. We get to reminisce about the last year and talk about favorite
Yep.
episodes, favorite interviews. We get to talk about the next year, what's on our bucket list, what do we
Oh
want to
yeah.
cover,
The old
and there's
bucket
so
list.
many things that we want to get into.
Yeah.
And we have a theme. And the theme this year, it always is around the holidays, right? The theme this year is we're going to look at how we can take Captain America and friends and recast favorite and famous holiday stories. So that could be
Yes.
movies, that could be animated shows, that could be books,
Ooh,
you
that's a
know?
twist. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like The Night Before Christmas,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
stories, things like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I'm
and
excited about this.
our listeners are going to do either an audio or video and send it in, and then we'll show them here, and then
Mm-hmm.
a lucky winner from that will also win a Captain America prize.
And a trip to Vegas.
No, no, no,
Oh
Bob,
no,
Bob,
no,
Bob,
there's
no.
no trip to Vegas.
There's
Okay. Okay. We
no trip to
we
Vegas.
scratched that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I think this is a great idea. I commend you for coming up with. It's going to be fun because I think there's a lot of opportunity to take a beloved classic and
Like Die
even
Hard.
like Die Hard and make it more beloved.
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm excited about this. I've got so many ideas rattling around in my aged brain that I can't wait to share them. So,
Yeah. So that'll be next episode,
yes.
which, by the way, comes out on Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
That's our present to you. All right, Bob, are you ready to get into today's comic?
I am Rick.
Okay, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be covering today Marvel Team Up 127. Now, this had a cover date of March 1983, but the release date was December 14th, 1982. Bob, almost to the day this comic hit the shelves, 1982. How many years ago was that, Bob?
A lot.
Bob, that'll be 42 years ago.
Oh no, no, that can't possibly, because that would have been that's my sophomore year in high school. So
42 years ago, Bob. Right?
you
Am I
stabbed
doing the
me.
math right?
You stabbed me. Probably,
Right?
probably it's right.
20, yeah, it's 2024. And that was 1982. Yeah,
I don't like that at all.
20, 40,
So
42 years ago.
I'm Bob unhappy.
Yeah. Wow. Almost to the day, 42 years ago, this comic came out. How about that? The writer is J.M. DeMatteis. And if I got to say, J.M. DeMatteis, probably my favorite Captain America writer. And we did have him on the show, if you want to check it out, episode 13. And great conversation with JM about his time on Captain America. And wow, some really cool behind the scenes stories as well. If you loved those early mid 80s Cap stories, definitely check out that episode. But, you know, the interesting thing about JM during this time, Bob, he was writing 4 different comics every month. He was writing Captain America, Marvel Team Up, Ghost Rider, and The Defenders. And that's a pretty eclectic team. I mean, like a thing, right? Like
Right?
he has a
Yeah.
team book, he has a major solo book, and he's got this funky supernatural book, and then he's got to come up with a Spider-Man and somebody else every single month.
Yeah.
Very, very different. But he had, at this point he had been writing Captain America. I want to say a year and a half, and then Marvel Team Up around a year and a half, maybe like 2 months less than he's been writing Captain America. So he obviously is very familiar with Captain America at this point, but he's also very familiar with Spider-Man, and so he's the writer on this particular issue. The penciler is Kerry Gammill, inker Mike Esposito, colorist Glynis Wine, letterer Rick Parker, and editor Tom DeFalco. Now the cover is done by Ed Hannigan and then inked by Al Milgrom. Bob, you want to take the listeners through the cover?
Yeah. It's a pretty sweet cover, Rick, because it takes place. Funny enough, is because it is a special Christmas issue, as we see from a word balloon on the cover. It's snowing, and it looks to be we're in some sort of city, because in the background we see sort of hazy outlines of buildings and trees, but there's a lot of snow coming down, and we see Peter Parker, Spider-Man, swinging through the air on his web. But what's really cool is behind him, we see the Watcher, Watu, and he is looking very stern. I can't decide if he's more Yul Brenner or Don Rickles in this particular facial expression, but he's reaching out for Spider-Man as if he's trying to grasp him in mid-swing. So it's a really striking cover. And if I saw this on a newsstand, I'd certainly be very interested in what's going on that the Watcher is trying to catch the Spider-Man.
Yeah, so I think at this point, young Rick was still he was already an old man because I'm looking at it going, cover up those arms and legs. You're out there in the snow.
You're going to catch a death of a cold.
Get a hat on, right?
Right.
He's wearing a toga
He
with a
is wearing a
collar,
toga. Yeah, with a high collar. Keeps the snow off your neck apparently, but yes, his arms and his thighs. My
but it's
goodness, his
cold enough for him
thighs.
to wear gloves.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, you got to protect those extremities.
Mm-hmm. 60 cents gets you this comic back in 1982. And it does say on the cover, special Christmas issue. So we open up in the opening splash page has Spider-Man swinging around, and it says Stan Lee presents Spider-Man and the Watcher. And here it is, Spider-Man webbing. You know, he's got the swinging, so he's got the hand on one, and he's got his other hand extended, and he's shooting a web. So you know he's doing that. You know, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, right as he's going over the
Yeah.
rooftops
Yeah.
in the middle of night on a snowy night, in a very cold night, and he actually has a webbed backpack, right? So he's got that.
Spider
He's
pack.
carrying something.
Yeah.
That's how he carries things around.
Yeah.
And it reads, "The winter winds are bitter. Soot stains the snow even before it touches the ground. And yet there is something special in the air this December night, some ineffable magic that informs the hearts of true believers and ardent cynics alike that it can only be Christmas Eve. This is a night for love and remembrance, for great joys and
Small miracles, sir.
thank you, Tiny Tim.
Thank you. I did. Thank you for catching that. Just small miracles, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the shoppers hurrying home to surreptitiously wrap their last minute purchases aren't thinking of such things just yet, and neither is the amazing Spider Man. And when I read this issue, I had forgotten how many big words J.M. DeMatteis likes to use. Bob, how many words did you look up after
Uh,
reading this story?
well, none, Rick, but
Really? I think I looked
yeah,
up one or
yeah,
two.
yeah. But we've talked about this with a number of writers, and I think we've talked about this with Tom Brevoort as well. The importance of comics for teaching reading skills and vocabulary to young kids. And so this
And
is
apparently,
why.
guys my age.
And readers of any age, Rick, all ages, can benefit from reading comics because it does teach words. And when you don't know words, you're forced to look them up, and that's a great thing, right? So when teachers say or parents say don't read comic books, they're just plain old wrong,
Especially for DeMatteis.
right?
Next page, and we get the inner thoughts of Spider Man. Boy, do I love this time of year. It's enough to make your average web spinning, wall crawling superhero forget his troubles and smile. Not that anyone can see me smiling underneath this Furschlinger mask. Now, I had to look up
Well,
Furschlinger.
I don't even remember reading that, so I must have just grazed
Do you
right
know what it
past it.
means?
I have no idea. Is it German or is it
Well,
Jewish? What
I
is it?
don't know. I don't know the origin of it,
Yeah.
but I know the definition of it because I looked it up.
All right.
It means worn and tattered.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I'm going to start using that with my wife. I need some new socks. They're all Firschlinger.
uh, it's a Furschlinger mask. What? Come on. You know what? Next time I see David Tans, I'm gonna be like, dude, just say worn.
Yeah. Can we just did it in one syllable, please?
Yeah, I know. Like, did you get paid per
Yeah.
letter? Like, what happened here?
I bet the letter was like, son of
Yeah, right.
a.
Probably the letter is looking it up. He's getting it back then. He's getting his Webster's out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But now that I've arrived at my destination, both mask and costume can be dispensed with, and Peter Parker, grad student, freelance photographer, and all around swell guy, can rear his handsome head. Now, kudos to DeMatteis for explaining very early on what's going on here for someone who never picks up a Marvel team up and really isn't that familiar with Spider-Man. I don't know how many people are not familiar with Spider-Man at this point, but he just basically explains where we're at. Like, and for me, like, I wasn't a big Spider-Man fan. I don't remember where Spider-Man was at in 1982. You know, like, but now I know he's a grad student, right? So that
Mhm.
points me in like, okay, well, this is how old he roughly is. You know, he's no longer a high school student, but then again, he's not out of school. Like, I didn't know where he was, but this
Right.
this helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's putting on his clothes from the backpack, and then he's leaving the backpack up there on the roof, but he still has his Spidey costume underneath. Oops, mustn't forget the presents I brought along for Aunt May, her fiance Nathan, and their housemates. Again, good job, DeMatteis. He could have just said, and Nathan, but no, he had to explain. Her fiance. I knew at some point Aunt May was engaged, but I didn't know it was 1982.
She did get around. Yeah.
Whoa.
Didn't she marry Otto for a while too? Wasn't that, I mean, come
I
on.
I think she was engaged to him. Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
think she
Yeah.
actually married him,
Oh,
but
all right.
yeah.
Yeah. Why would he when he's getting the milk for free? Sure.
Yeah, you know. I hear he was a little grabby.
Nice.
I'd hate to arrive at their holiday bash empty-handed. And so he comes in the door on the next page, and it's a half-page splash, and the top half is just one big panel. And Bob, maybe you could take our listeners just to give them a glimpse of what's happening here.
Oh my God. This is like every Christmas party I've ever been invited to. So it's I live down in Naples, Florida, Rick. You know
Yeah.
that in Southwest
Uh-huh.
Florida. And you may know this. Many of our listeners may know this, but this is an area of Florida that is highly populated by, let's just say, retirees. And so what Peter Parker is walking into here looks like it could be the living room of any house here in Southwest Florida this Christmas season, because it is Aunt May and all her friends from the neighborhood. And they're all the same age as Aunt May, which, as you know, and our listeners know, is an elderly woman at this point, not like in the MCU. And so we have a Christmas tree that's being decorated, and we see an older gentleman standing on a stool trying to put the star on it, and what is presumably maybe his wife or something who is providing him, let's just say, instructions on how to do it appropriately. And then we have some other older ladies sitting in the back drinking tea and conversing with each other. And in the
Oh, that's
foreground,
eggnog, Bob.
oh, it's eggnog. Yeah. Yeah. And then a couple, older gentlemen in the foreground, one eating cake and the other one dressed sort of as a Santa Claus, but not well. And then, of course, Aunt May with a tray of eggnog and cake, greeting Peter as he comes through the door. So it's a very, it looks like a very sweet party that she's having with her friends, and it's great that Peter could be there.
Nicely done, Bob. And I have to say, I when I saw this and I saw the age of the people here, you say elderly, I say really elderly. like you say retirees, but I mean, at this age they're being pointed at, they look like they've been retired for at least 10, 15 years.
They look the age that my son thinks I am.
Exactly. That's my point. Like I looked it up, and like, how old was J.M. DeMatteis when he wrote this story? And guess how old he was?
I have no idea.
Late 20s.
Late 20s. Okay.
Late 20s, right? So
Yeah.
he was like late 20s, and and in his mind, somebody in their 60s looked like this.
Well, in fairness, like they did. Back then. Oh, I don't know. I've looked at pictures of like my dad when he was in his, early 50s. And I'm like I've even showed it to my like pictures to my son, and I'm like, how old do you think your grandfather was here? And he's like, oh, he was late 60s. And I'm like, no, he was in his early 50s. I don't know. Maybe I think people just aged more quickly. Back then in terms of their appearance.
Hmm.
I don't know. These
Yeah, no,
guys
I
could
hear
they
you.
could this could be all like 40-year-olds for all I know.
I know. That's
Right?
the scary part,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's like they're being drawn to be like I look at them at my age now, and I look at them and I'm going, they're all at least 80.
Right. I mean, wasn't like Ed Asner something like,
I
wasn't he like
know,
in like
yeah.
in his early 40s or late 30s or
I
something
know, it was
on the Mary Tyler
scary.
Moore show?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
That's a great point. Good grief. Are my eyes deceiving me, or is that Elizabeth Taylor over there serving cake and coffee? Peter. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, dear. I was beginning to worry. Watch what you're doing, Victor. You're bending the branches. Do me a favor, Rose. Go suck a candy cane and leave me alone. Nathan, look. Peter's here. That he is, May. Maybe he can stop the Palomos from killing each other over their unique brand of holiday cheer. Yo ho ho and a Merry Christmas to you, Peter. Bet you can't guess who I'm supposed to be. The Easter Bunny? Aw, you guessed. You know me, Mr. Chekhov. Sharp as a tack. Let the boy be, Arthur. He looks so tired and hungry. Actually, Aunt May, I had a very big... And just then, she just comes up and shoves a slice of cake in his mouth. Now, why is my spider sense suddenly tingling? Better guard your rear, Pete. And then this next... Bob, you had a funny look when I said that.
oh yeah, okay, there it is. Okay, good. Yeah, the
Yeah.
next panel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Next.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, where is she shoving the next slice of cake?
I know. That's why I was like, oh, I mean, I'm not familiar with that particular treatment, but okay.
And so the next thing you know, two older ladies are taking him by arm on each side and pulling him back onto a couch, holding mistletoe over him. Sophie, Martha. Hello, 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 darling boy. It appears we've caught you under the mistletoe, haven't we? And so it goes.
So, Rick, did you get any mistletoe this year?
I have the same mistletoe that came from my parents' house, so I
Okay.
inherited it. It's like
All right.
obviously it's artificial,
Okay. Yeah.
and I hang it over the kind of the entranceway that goes from the living room into the dining
Okay.
room.
All right. I have mine on a stick. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that way I can walk around with it
That's great.
over my head. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
also have another one that's on my belt buckle.
Okay. Good.
Through more cake, cookies, eggnog. By the way, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if I was work, they'd be calling HR by now.
Oh yeah, you definitely have a sit talk down. Yeah.
Through more cake, cookies, eggnog, ice cream, a bit of white wine to get the spirits singing. And they're all singing what song, Bob?
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Considering all the Christmases Aunt May and I spent alone, it does my heart good to see her surrounded by people she really cares about and who care about her. Hey, that's strange. Mr. Chekhov's usually the life of the party. I wonder why he's sitting off in a corner by himself. Something wrong, Mr. C? You look a little down. Down, Peter? Me? Ah, who am I trying to kid? I am down. You see, I was just looking out the window, hoping she might come. She? My granddaughter, Betty, the only child of my boy Walter. God rest his soul. And he shows a picture to Peter. Look at that face, Peter. She's an angel. And I don't think I've seen her 5 times since Walter and his wife were killed in a plane crash a few years back. Is that any way for a family to be? I called her up last week and practically begged her to come tonight. She said maybe she would. Maybe. It's funny how we cling to words like maybe. I knew she didn't mean it. I knew she wouldn't come. I'm going to pause here for just a second, Bob, but I think that's a really, I don't know, I don't want to say heavy, but it's a real deep observation of how we cling to words like maybe. And I think we all can say that at some point in
Sure.
our lives,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
we've all said it.
it's true.
Right. Yeah.
Cheer up, Mr. C. It's still early. She might show up yet. But meanwhile, don't you think you should be regale us with one of your poetic masterpieces? Well, I did write one, especially for tonight. Listen up, group. It's time for the Poet's Corner. I call this Dancing Toward Bethlehem, with apologies to William Butler Yeats. And then you see the Spidey sense tingle around Peter's head. Peter, dear, what is it? Yow. Um, Nothing, Aunt May. I just realized that we're all out of ice cream, and I have my heart set on a midnight sundae. I'll go get some. I hate lying to Aunt May, but I can hardly tell her that my spider sense has gone haywire, buzzing so hard it hurts. I've got to find the cause of it before this sure feels like big trouble. Now what? One second the sky is perfectly clear, and the next I'm standing in the middle of a blizzard. In my Spider-Man suit? At least the snow's died down, but who the heck are you? And what's he looking at, Bob?
He's looking up, way, way up at the Watcher, who is standing before him and towering over Spider-Man.
Wrong question, huh? Then maybe you'll tell me how you messed with the weather and zapped me into my costume, if it was you who did it. No? Come on, you got to say something. And the Watcher stands silent in front of him. In his right hand, which is clenched, he raises his arm, opens it, and there's a black orb of some sort that is glowing in his palm. And he gestures it to Spider-Man. This jewel? You want me to take this jewel? Is that it? But why do you? And then in the jewel, in this globe, he sees a picture. That face. That's author Chekhov's granddaughter. What does it mean? Please, whoever you are, you got to tell me, what does it mean? And just like that, the snow blizzard comes in, the Watcher disappears, and then it's clear again. Well, there are three possibilities. Either I've had one eggnog too many, I've just visited by the ghost of Christmas past, or there's something very strange going on here. Whatever the case, there seems to be only one logical course to follow, if logic applies to this situation at all, and that's to find Betty Chekhov. But how? How? And he spins his web into the night as the moon is lit behind him. The web spinner swings quickly off, confused, agitated, and, no doubt, he would be even more so if he knew that some 238,000 miles from Earth, in the fabled blue area hidden on the dark side of the moon, he was being observed by the same mysterious figure who has plunged this Christmas Eve into chaos. And I will say, Bob, I did look it up. 238,000 miles is between Earth and in the moon.
Is that correct?
I had to
Yeah.
I had to look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have known that because in the class that I teach, I show a slide that shows the distance from Earth to the moon, and then we talk about food security. We talk about how many animals are raised every year for consumptive purposes, and I estimate based on the length of a chicken if every one of the, I think it's like 90 something billion animals a year, if every one of them was one of a chicken, how many chickens could stretch from the surface of the earth to the moon and back? Like how many times? So that's a fun little slide that I walk the students through, just to give them a sense of like the enormity
Yeah.
of like the production of food, right? And there's just this like one type of food, and the strain it provides presents on resources and stuff. But moon's a long way away, but yeah, it takes a lot of chickens to get there and back.
Yeah, it's a lot of chickens. Yeah. Of course, when he's on the moon, you know who I usually think of? I think of that Bugs Bunny episode where Marvin the Martian
Marvin the Martian, yeah,
and Bugs Bunny go up on the moon.
yeah.
And then he's at the very end, he's hanging on the corn, the moon blew up and he's hanging on the crescent moon.
Right,
Get me
yeah,
out of here. Yeah.
yeah.
I always loved Marvin the Martian.
Marvin was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to blow up the earth. I have the K4 light tune modulator. Oh, he makes me so angry.
That's a very nice job.
Oh,
Very
thank you.
nice job.
I often found that, and maybe Mel Blanc was doing the voices. Do you remember I don't remember the cartoon, but it was Dudley Do Right.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
right,
Yeah,
and yeah, Dudley Do Right sounds a lot like Marv the Martian.
yeah.
It was
That's
like
true. Yeah.
"Fear not, I'll save you, Penelope." Right, like
Yeah.
that voice was very close, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Mel Blanc or not.
Mm.
And then, so here we are, and Huatu is standing in a observatory with a gigantic screen. This was a full color high def back in 1982. Wow. And he's staring at this. Since time's dawn, my people have played their role in the drama cosmic, bearing witness to the eternal pageant of interstellar life in every corner of creation. But of all the myriad wonders I have ever witnessed, few mean more to me than which unfolds tonight. With the wave of the Watcher's hand, Spider Man's image is erased from the view screen, replaced by a scene of dark decay. Ah, Earth, your contradictions run so deep. You harbor such joy and beauty, such cruelty and despair. And you, Betty Chekhov, have known all these things in your 20-odd years. Soon you shall know more. Too often in the past have I violated my sacred trust and interfered in Earth's affairs, so that this planet I have come to love could live. For those actions I suffered the scorn and revilement of my brother's watchers, but now I find myself again drawn to help. For the threat is no less deadly than the Overmind, no less awesome than Galactus. This woman, this child, is the focal point. So stumble, child, fall, crawl on hands and knees, consumed by helplessness and hopelessness, such as you have never felt. Before this night is done, the verdict shall be rendered, life or death. And the youth called Spider-Man holds the key. So now we cut to Spidey swinging away. I remember Mr. C once mentioning that Bet lives out in Brooklyn, but Brooklyn's a big place, and I can't go webbing around all night on the off chance that my spider sense will locate her. If there's one impression that big bald mystery man left me with, it's a sense of incredible urgency. So now what? Should I risk going back to Aunt May's to try and weasel the info out of Arthur without tipping my hand, or bingo? What does he see, Bob?
He sees a payphone, Rick.
What's that?
It's a box on a stand on a street corner. And these were the old days. You could put a coin of money in a slot and make a phone call.
What's a coin?
And it's crazy, isn't it?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. That would be exactly the questions my son would be asking.
When in doubt, call directory assistance. But call him with what? This costume wasn't exactly designed to carry loose change. Ah, well. And he takes the he uses his spider strength to shift the machine a little bit to make some change come out of the dispenser. I'll mail this back to Ma Bell later. And then he's on the phone for the 10th time. That's Chekov. Chekhov. Smirnov? Chekhov, as an ensign. Ensign? I thought you said the name was Smirnov. It takes persistence and well springs of patience, but the much needed information is finally extracted. Then, after a fitting farewell, now there's no reason to be that rude, young man. 311 Montague Street. That's in Brooklyn Heights. And he swings over there, but what does he come across, Bob?
Well, it looks like maybe a crime scene in progress or something. There's an apartment building with a number of police cars parked out front, and it looks to be an ambulance, and a number of police officers standing around on the sidewalk and street in front of the building.
This is the place, but what the heck is going on down there? They're wheeling out a woman's body. Is that why I've been drawn here? To witness Betty's death? And he swings up and he sees a police officer. The victim, who is she? Holy, it's Spider Man. And then the detective comes up. Put your guns away, you jerks. And you, Spider Man, don't try anything stupid, or I'll have you under arrest so fast you won't know what hit you. Look, I haven't got time for this. Who is she? What's it to you? And he grabs him by both arms. Tell me. Okay. Her name's Sheila Fiore. If you know something about this, buddy boy, you better spill it. We found a few $1,000 worth of cocaine in that apartment, and no, I don't know anything. You'll pardon me if I don't believe you. But don't worry. We'll get to the bottom of this soon. First thing we gotta do is find Fiore's roommate. Maybe you know her, buddy boy. Her name's Betty Chekhov. Betty Chekhov? Well, what do you know? I hit a nerve. Come on, pal. Tell me what's up before I... Hey, get back here! Some other night, when I'm in less of a rush. And he swings away. But all the rushing in the world is of little use when there's nowhere to go. And next thing you know, we see Spidey sitting on the ledge at the top of a snowy building. Blast it. I've been all over the neighborhood, and my spider sense didn't turn up a thing. And even if I did find Betty, what would I do? Say, excuse me, but a giant appeared to me and showed your face in a crystal ball. Perhaps you could help me figure out what it all means. I don't know. Maybe I imagined the whole thing. Maybe after all these years of running around in blue tights and fighting costume crazy, Spider-Man has finally gone insane. No, I'm not crazy. It did happen. I've got this jewel in my hand to prove it. This is something big, something important. I can feel it in the very fiber of my being. What do I do next? I've never felt so stupid, so helpless, so... What's that? Someone's behind me. And he turns, and who's there, Bob?
It's our man, Captain America.
Sure enough. And he's standing there in his best Captain Morgan pose, right? He's got his...
I love this pose, actually.
He's got his one leg up on the thing and
Yeah.
knee bent, and then he's got his shield resting on it and his arms resting on the shield. No reason to get jumpy, son. It's just an old soldier who happened to be passing by. I thought it was you sitting here, but I couldn't figure out what in the world Spider-Man would be doing on a Brooklyn Heights rooftop on Christmas Eve. Are you in trouble, son? I guess so. But it's like no trouble I've ever met up with before. If I tell you about it, you'll think I'm off my rocker. Try me. And he tries. And after the bizarre tale is told, I'll admit, that is a peculiar set of circumstances. even for our line of work. But that worries me less than the despair I hear in your voice. That's not like you, Spider Man. Your methods may be a bit unorthodox, but you're no quitter. You've had to buck the odds before, so why start giving into self pity now? If finding that girl is as important as you believe, get off your butt and find her. And if you want help, you've got it. And he puts his hand on his shoulder. Uh, no thanks, Cap. You've already done more than enough. And if I can't shake the feeling that I've got to finish this alone. But thanks again, Cap, and Merry Christmas. And he swings away. And Cap's left standing there on the top of the building in the snow. And he looks after him with his hands on his hips and just says, Merry Christmas. Meanwhile, on the moon. And here we see Watu looking at his HD screen while working on some really weird equipment that's just kind of coming down from the ceiling. And so the strand of fate draw tighter, each seemingly random element forming a more purposeful whole. Spider-Man has found new strength within himself, and such strength shall ever be rewarded. There goes my spider sense again. But this time it seems to be focused on the jewel. Is that you, Baldy? Are you trying to get through to me again? What's this? There's an image forming. Hey, I know that joint. It's the sleaziest bar in lower Manhattan with an even sleazier clientele. And what's the name of the place, Bob?
It's Jimmy's Corner, Rick.
This could be the break I've been waiting for. And he goes into this dive and he stands at the door. Evening, gents. What? Huh? Who's that? I'd like a word with you. Ha! Check out the guy in the Spider-Man getup. What's the matter? Couldn't afford a Santa Claus suit? And then at that point, Spidey comes over and he lifts up the guy in the chair with his pinky underneath the chair, holding it up with ease. Believe me, guys, I'm the real thing. It really is the wall crawler. Run! Look at them scattered like fleet-footed little elves. I wonder if they've got something to hide. Oh well, I only need one mouth to pry open, and you're it, pal. Ah! And he throws him up to the beam near the ceiling and then puts a webbing around him. Leave me alone. I ain't done nothing. Good old, and then Spider-Man is just walking up, sticking to the the um the pylon there, right? And then he goes above and sticks to the ceiling upside down, staring him in the face. Good old Joe Face. He's been behind bars 24 times, and he's still crying innocent. This turkey's got to be the reason I was led here. He knows everything that's going on out in the street. Let's make this short and sweet, Joe. Where's Betty Chekhov? Who? No games, Joe. I'm running low on holiday cheer. I swear, Spider-Man, I don't know what you're talking about. I swear. Joe's face is a lot of things, but he's a coward first and foremost. The way he's shaking, he's got to be telling the truth. So Spidey leaves. Hey, you got to let me down. Stick around till Christmas morning, Joe. Someone's bound to come and along and unwrap you. And he goes outside dejected. I don't understand. If this dump doesn't hold a clue to the girl's whereabouts, why did it appear in the jewel? Why? Why? And we cut to from Spider-Man saying why to Betty Chekhov saying why. And she's in an apartment across the street from Jimmy's. And she's there looking at this guy who's sitting in a dark, broken down apartment. He's behind a desk and he's working, looks like he's working on some sort of project there. Why, Buck? Why didn't you tell us the coke was stolen? And all the people to steal from, We would have never touched the stuff if we knew it'd have mob on our backs. I was up on the roof, just watching the snowfall when they showed up at the apartment. I heard the shots, Buck. I heard Sheila scream. Are you listening to me, Buck? No. So shut up. And he gets up and he turns around and he hits her so hard she goes falling backwards. You talk too much, Betty. I don't know why I ever got mixed up with you. I mean, you're always yanking. You might you might even end up yanking to the goons that you're looking for me, just to save your own pretty skin. I can't let that happen, Betty. And he reaches into his jacket and he pulls out a switchblade. I can't let them find me. Buck, please don't. We turn the page and he's holding her with one hand and he's got his right hand back with the knife pointed at her as he's about to strike as she's laying on the ground. And then a spider web comes up and holds his right hand from going any further. You heard the lady, Buck. Hands off! And he takes and he pushes him up against the wall. And that makes a loud noise, Bob.
Wham!
Get away from me, you lousy bum. Nobody takes out Buck Todd, do you hear me? No one. I've got news for you, Crumb. You're out. And he holds him and just smacks him across the face. And with his spidey strength, that's all he needs to do. It's a good thing your boyfriend's the loud type, Betty. If I hadn't heard him shouting, I'd never realized that my guardian angel wanted me to check out the area around the bar. Betty? And he's looking at the door. Oh, great. She cut out. And she goes running outside, but there's a vehicle sitting out there, Bob, and they're just a whole bunch of grown men sitting there looking like they're waiting for somebody or looking for somebody. This is getting wild. First Spider-Man goes charging into Buck's place like the cavalry, and now our pigeon comes running out. And Bob, did you notice on the car there? Yeah,
I
I've got a little
did.
R2D2 on the license plate. I think the letter was having a little fun here.
Yeah.
And here we thought it would be simple to let the girl lead us to her supplier. With Spider-Man in on this, we'll never get the stuff back. Oh yeah? Take a look at what the girl's holding in her hands. She's got it. And they come out of the car to chase her. Hey kid, get back here. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And she runs. But without hope. And her flight takes her straight into a dead end. Just what her life has been since her parents died. Dead end. The bags of cocaine fall, snow upon snow. The final curtain falling with them. Okay, little girl, end of the line. And one of the guys pulls out a gun. And then next page, and as she's there and these five guys are all around her, what happens, Bob?
Well, we see them illuminated with it looks like some sort of projection of Spider-Man's face. It's like they're caught on a spotlight of some sort, made up of Spider-Man's face.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That's been around since the 60s
Mm-hmm.
and it's not something you see anymore. But he was something like he would shine it on people to scare them.
Yeah.
Are you sure the five of you could pull it off? That light's so bright. It's my handy dandy all purpose spider signal, and it's definitely brighter than you. And where's it coming from,
Well,
Bob?
he's in this panel. He's wearing what looks to be a belt of some sort, and it's got a belt buckle, and the light is projected from the Spidey face belt buckle.
Yeah. That's where I keep my mistletoe.
Yeah, great.
And they're firing at him but missing him because he's jumping. Typical. All you understand is shoot, punch, and hurt. Well, I don't carry a gun, but I've got the punch and hurt part down pat. And he's pushing one down, kicking the other, punching another. There goes Betty taking off again. She's so frightened she can't even tell that I'm on her side. Oh well, I can catch up with her in a jiff. Wait, my spider sense is practically screaming. Oh no. And she runs right into another of the mobsters there who's holding a gun. Hold it, babe. You're going down. And he shoots her.
Bam.
No! No! And he goes and he takes out the mobster. And she's laying there in the snow. There's barely a breath left in her. She's dying. And then just then Spider-Man lashes out into the sky with a fist. Did you hear me, you stinking manipulator? After all you put me through, all I've done, she's dying. And who shows up, Bob?
The Watcher materializes right there with them.
And he makes a noise.
Whoa.
Aren't you going to do something? Say something? You can't just stand there and let her die. You can't. And he takes the orb that he's been, was given to him, and he throws it, but it blows up right between the two of them. Only later will Spider-Man wonder how a jewel aimed directly at the Watcher at point-blank range hit a wall 4 feet to the alien's right. For now, he simply stares in mute amazement at the glowing, glittering dust that wafts like some celestial snowfall towards Betty Chekhov, bathing her in its heavenly glow. Her breathing's better. She's hanging on. If I can only get to the hospital in time. All right, I'm going, as the Watcher points in the direction. Next page at the hospital, and we have Peter Parker in his civilian identity and a doctor walking up to him. It's a good thing you got here when you did, son. Another few minutes and we might have lost her. Is she going to be all right? Right as rain. Peter, it's Aunt May.
And Mr. Chekhov.
We were so worried about you. And then when we got your call, Betty, how is she? Look for yourself, Mr. C. How in the world did you ever find her, Peter? Where did you... It's a long story, Aunt May. Betty... And Mr. C goes up to her as she's laying in the hospital bed in a dark room. Betty, darling, it's me. It's grandfather. Grandfather? Hold my hand, grandfather, please. And don't ever let go. And then Peter, standing outside the hospital, looking at the moon and its brightness in the dark sky. I don't know who you are or why you did it, but thanks. And then we cut to the last page, and it's the epilogue. And it's Watu looking back from the moon onto Earth. To stand eon after eon, bearing mute witness to the flow of life, shrivels the heart, desiccates the soul. So enwrapped are we watchers in matters of cosmic import that we have lost touch with the ordinary, the mundane, the day-to-day trials of the beings we so dispassionately observe. Can I be blamed then for setting aside one night, a night so precious to the children of earth, to remind myself that creation knows no great or small? One night to reach out, however indirectly, and touch but a few of these strange and magnificent beings called men. One night to be as a brother to them. And he has a tear coming down his cheek. Whether Betty Chekhov lived or died would no doubt be judged insignificant by my fellow watchers. My actions so small as to be beneath their notice. More's the pity. For tonight I have seen events of seeming insignificance grow pregnant with meaning. I have seen infinity revealed with a single human heart. I am humbled, and I know joy. The end.
Oh, actually, it says fini, Rick.
It does,
I
Bob.
love fancy.
Oh, Bob, what'd you think of this?
It's a sweet story, right? Yeah, this is a good holiday story. There's a good pick, Rick. It only features Cap for a handful of panels, important panels though. But it's a good story, and it's a good reminder that every life is significant, every life has meaning, and all of us can help save lives, right? By persistence and working to help those. And Spider-Man teaches that lesson, and so I think it's a great holiday story.
Yeah, yeah, it was a nice timely story. And I gotta say, J.M. DeMatteis, I do like his writing. Now, is it a little hokey here and there? Yeah, but um, I like the message behind his stories.
Yeah, he definitely writes at two levels, right? There's the level you can just enjoy the story. You don't have to think too much about it. You can enjoy it, but there's always that you peel back that second layer, and there's a lesson, some meaning, and I enjoy those kind of stories more than
Mm.
most, right? I like the two level stories, and he definitely is a master of them.
Now, the next issue, it says next, who else but Captain America? And so that would be in Marvel Team Up 128. We happened to cover that, Bob, if you remember. That was done way back in episode 188 that we did in April earlier this year. And it was a story with Captain America and Spider-Man that actually ties up a story that was happening in Captain America at this time, um, which, if you recall, was when Baron Zemo kind of finished that, and then we had Vermin, and so Marvel Team Up 128 has a character that DeMatteis created, and that is Vermin. So if you want to check that out, make sure you go to episode 188 where we cover that panel by panel. All
Awesome.
right, Bob. Uh, I go first.
You do,
I
yes.
do.
Favorite panel, Rick?
I'm going to go back to page 3,
Ooh.
and it is my favorite panel is the one where Sophie and Martha
Uh-huh.
have Peter on the couch
Mm.
holding the mistletoe above his head, and they're giving him kisses, and I don't know. I
All
got I
right.
got a little bit of a tickle out
You
of
got a
this
little Peter
particular.
Tingle going on there. Okay. All right.
Don't call it that. Don't call it that.
All right. That's a good
Uh,
that's a good panel. Sure.
yeah,
Fun.
yeah. What's your favorite panel from this story?
I have got I now you made me feel guilty. I should have done the next one with the ladies dancing, singing jingle bells, but I went with page 18, that top panel that shows the thugs, all five of them, illuminated by the Spidey signal.
Hmm.
I just like the way that panel is not just drawn but colored as well. I think it's a very creative use of color to indicate that they're being illuminated by something off screen. It's just kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Joker may
And
think it's a knockoff of the bat signal, but I think it's cool.
did you notice that nowhere else in the comic that Spider-Man has a belt with a
I
buckle?
noticed that. Yes.
It's just right there. Uh,
Yeah.
all right, what's going on in your time? Well, actually, no. Your T-shirt. What's T-shirt worthy for you?
Well, I am going to have to go with that Captain Morgan cap panel from page 11, Rick. I,
Mm.
I mean, I got to because it'll be
Mm.
no reason to get jumpy, son. It's just an old soldier who happened to be passing by. I could go with that cap and that word bubble on the t-shirt. I think that would be good. We're all just passing by, Rick.
That was mine, Bob.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was mine.
gosh darn it.
Hmm. I guess I got to pivot, and there really isn't a cool villain here to. to do. Um, I guess I'll go next page, 12, where Cap is he's got his hand on Spider-Man's shoulder and he's talking with him. Um, you know, it's nice because he you could tell just even without the word bubbles that he's giving friendly advice. And so yeah, I'll go with that one.
Yeah. My backup was the panel with Watu with the tear rolling down his cheek because it
Mm,
reminded me of Iron Eyes Cody. Remember Iron Eyes Cody?
no.
You remember the commercials from the 70s about had the Indian about not
Oh
learning?
yeah.
Remember that? Except he wasn't really an
Yeah.
Indian. He was like Italian, the guy who played Iron Eyes
Way to
Cody.
ruin it for me.
Sorry, but I talk about again in my class. I talk about those commercials, and so that picture of a Watu with tear rolling down his cheek reminded me of that, and I'm like, that would be a good T-shirt. People be like,
Yeah.
who the heck is that? Is that
You
Don
know, I gotta
Rickles?
tell you that I never litter. Ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Never litter. And
All
that
right.
commercial may have had a big impact on me.
It may have. Well, good
Yeah.
for you. Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to litter. None. You know, like there's I don't know. Like
Yeah.
nothing pisses me off more than someone who just casually says, "You know what? I'm just going to put this anywhere I want rather than some sort of trash receptacle." I'm also the kind of guy who when there's a trash can next to a recycling can and I
Uh-huh.
see a plastic bottle in the trash
Oh
can,
my
I'm like
gosh.
I'm like who the hell did this? And I'll
Yeah.
take the plastic and I'll put it in the recycling. Right? Like how hard was that? How hard was that? I actually get very
You get
upset and
agitated.
indignant.
All right. All
I
right.
do.
Well,
I do.
they've had
There's
their
no
impact on you.
excuse for littering. None.
Yeah.
I don't get me started. I get
Iron
angry.
Iron Eyes will be proud of you.
I
Kimosabi.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about your are we doing time capsule?
Yeah, we're doing time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's in your time capsule?
All right. Well, Bob, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to go with page 9, and I have to go with the directory assistance. That is a when did when did directory assistance stop? I mean, obviously, it was some point after the internet. Like at some point,
Yeah.
it was like there's no reason to call this number anymore. I can just
Yeah.
go and look this up online.
Don't they still have it though? But isn't it like automated? There's not a human anymore.
I don't know. I've
Yeah.
never tried.
I think they still have
You
it.
want
I
to
think
you want to dial 411 and I'll just sit here and wait.
yeah, oh here we go. Ready? Dial my 411.
Make sure you put on speaker.
Hmm. Well, it's not available on a cell phone, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
Um,
It's like you're on a cell phone. Look it up.
I know. Use your home phone, dummy. That's how they get you right there. Nobody
uh,
has those anymore.
what's going on in your time capsule?
Well, I'm going to go with page one, Rick, and it's the billboard for Epic Magazine on one of the buildings
Oh.
in the background as Spidey is swinging by. And as you know, Epic Illustrated Magazine was from 1980, I think, to 1984, had about, I don't know, 34, 36 issues of that glossy, full
Mm-hmm.
size magazine that was a little more adult, a little more competition for Heavy Metal magazine, which my older brothers read
Mm-hmm.
and that I snuck peeks at from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it didn't last very long, but it was. I think I have a few issues of Epic magazine somewhere in my collection from
I
back in
don't.
the day.
I do not. I remember it though. All right, very cool. All right. Well, listen, Bob. I'm really looking forward to next episode where we're going to come back and celebrate our 4th anniversary. I can't wait for you to open up the present I got for you. I think
Mm,
you're going to be very excited.
all right, all right. I can't wait. That's
All
very
right.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Well, as always, so much fun wrapping cap with you.
It has. I can't wait till next week.
All right. If you don't mind, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and share a YouTube video on your social media to be entered into the contest. But the other ways, you can also give us a 5-star review on Apple. You can give us a comment in any of our platforms, but we always love hearing from you on our Facebook group as well. Um, and as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.